Give me your initial reaction to what happened that night when you first heard it.
Well, the first thing I was thinking was I was scared to death when the Mavericks and Spurs were the last two standing, given the Spurs track record in the lottery and the Mavericks track record in the lottery, and figuring, oh no, this can't happen again. And then when the San Antonio placard was unveiled and you knew the Mavericks were number one, it's like I screamed. I mean, it's like, oh my God, this actually happened. It's the old story. You wait long enough, anything can happen. And I think this year, frankly, around the Mavericks, you wait long enough, anything literally can happen, both good and bad. And obviously, this is a really good moment for the team and what obviously has been a really big roller coaster of the season.
When you saw that the odds of them getting this 1.8 percentage, the probability of them getting that pick was,
yeah, it's not there.
It's not there. And then knowing that who would be the guy that they had the opportunity to pick at number one, and they've never had that opportunity since Mark Aguirre.
Right.
So,
but Mark Aguirre wasn't even in the lottery.
Right.
So this was the 17th time the Mavericks were in the lottery. They had never moved up, let alone won the lottery. They had never moved up, and I think it was 7 times they had actually moved down, and 9 times they had stayed the same. So. Yes, but knowing what was at stake, possibly winning the lottery with Flagg, but even if they had gotten into the top 4, this is an exceptional draft. And the Mavericks, and anyone, frankly, who is going to draft in the top 4 or 5 is probably going to find a player that is going to be an all-star caliber player and maybe even an all-NBA player multiple times coming through the years. But Flagg is special, and he's been special for a while. People have watched him really closely, and remember, he's young. I mean, he's not going to turn 19 until December. So I mean, he passed up his senior year of high school, to declare to go play at Duke, and he performed tremendously well against really high level competition. And I mean, there's no question who the number 1 pick in the draft was. I mean, who the National Player of the Year was on any. By any metric you want to go with, Cooper Flagg was the guy. And now as someone who really sees the game, feels the game, is going to be playing for a guy who saw the game and felt the game at a level very few have ever had and been able to do. This is just super exciting.
With what happened to the Mavs last year, especially with all the injuries, they never really had a chance to gel and have the chemistry to show what they could be and what Nico forecasted with all the picks and the way he moved things around. What do you think this guy does when he comes into this team? And obviously you don't have Kyrie for a few months, but once they get to camp and what they can do together.
He's a chameleon. Cooper Flagg is whatever you need him to be. He handles the ball. He's an excellent passer. He has that hostage dribble where he gets somebody on his hip like Luka used to do all the time, and people are either going to come to him and he's going to throw it up and Derek Lively is going to dunk it, or he's going to be able to shoot the floater and finish it. He's become a much better shooter as the year's gone on. I mean, he shot over 42% from 3 in ACC games. Was at 38.5% for the year. He can guard multiple positions. He gives them just tremendous flexibility. He plays really, really hard. And he has the ability to grasp concepts and run with it very quickly. It's like you basically, from what I've been told by people who have worked with him for years, even before he got to Duke, you tell him something, and then by the next day, he's got that thing figured out. There's no long-term ramp up with him. He sees and processes really quickly, and he looks like an NBA player, and an NBA player now, and let alone whatever he's going to be, several years from now, when he's still only going to be 21 or 22 years old.
You heard from the fans forever, they had coffins, fire Nico. Is this the kind of salve that could help the organization get past that particular time in the history of the Mavs and move on to something a little different?
I'm sure, and I've seen it on my social media feeds over the last 24 hours. There are people who will never get over it. People will just not accept it for what it was. And I understand that. I mean, Luka was fantastic, and Luka's generational, and he was ours, but he's not ours anymore. He's somebody else's, and the Mavericks have been gifted, and their fans, more important, have been gifted something, I believe, really special. Something, again, if you believe in the concept of loyalty or building around someone and falling in love with someone the way we fell in love with Dirk and the way we fell in love with Luka. I mean, there's every opportunity now to fall in love with Cooper Flagg as this team kind of runs on a parallel course. You've got some veteran guys like Kyrie and AD, right. And then you've got some younger guys like Lively and now Flagg, so that you can sort of play the parallel game of trying to win now, but at the same time knowing that you really do have a base to work with for your future. So I think it's a really exciting time. The last 3 months have been frustrating, quite frankly, and it's been hard to go through. It's hard to watch the playoffs and not see the Mavericks in the playoffs this year, and especially what's going on in the NBA playoffs. It's incredibly wide open, but they're not a part of it. But now they have a chance to build something that will get them back to that part. And it seems that as long as the league is going to be as balanced as it is in many ways, as wide, and this has been a playoff that's as wide open as any that I can remember. Why not? Why not them? Why not next year? And so, hey, let's get to June 25th and the actual picking of the player, and let's move on.
Two more. What else do the Mavs need to make a deep run into the playoffs like they've done 2 years ago?
Well, look, we don't know when Kyrie's coming back. The hope is that he'll be back in early January. I think that's a really aggressive approach to things. I think it's more likely, again, not having been around him and in his rehab, but I think it's more logical to suggest around the All-Star break. So as a result, they really do need somebody who can push the pace, another guard. They found it with Brandon Williams as a backup, late in the season. But Jason Kidd talked a lot about how we need to play faster. We need to get into our stuff faster. We need to put pressure on the defense instead of letting them get set up. So they need another guard who can score and who can put pressure on the defense. You're probably not going to get that in free agency. You'd probably have to trade for it. I don't know where they're going with that, and I'm not going to speculate here on who that person is that winds up going out in order to get that player. But I think that's a really important concept for the Mavericks to be able to address.
Okay, and lastly, the basketball gods have seemed to shone upon Dallas with the Dallas Wings, getting Paige Becker's number one, and then you get number one here with Cooper. Well, what does that say about Dallas basketball and how everyone's going to be looking to this market?
We're a 12-month basketball town now, aren't we? The Mavericks, obviously, from when they go to camp in late September and until whenever they get done playing, and the WNBA starts in the middle of May and goes until September. And it figures that the Wings ought to be pretty good. I think everybody's expecting them to be pretty good. If nothing else, during the summer, if you don't want to be outside in 100-degree heat, you can go inside and watch Paige Beckers play. And that's pretty exciting to know that we've always been a football town, a 12-month-a-year football town. But now, I think we have the chance to be a 12-month-a-year basketball town. That's pretty cool.
So what you're telling me is fans ought to be excited right now.
They should be, absolutely. I understand the disappointment. I was disappointed when the Mavericks made the trade because I love watching Luka Doncic play basketball. I think he's incredibly special. But I think the Mavericks have been gifted something incredibly special. It's not the same, okay? And people are going to try to compare 19-year-old Cooper Flagg to 24-year-old Luka Doncic, say. Obviously, Luka's a little older now. They're going to try to compare that production, and that's unfair. Look at what Luka did as a rookie. He was great as a rookie. He won Rookie of the Year. He averaged over 21 a game. But let's see what Cooper Flagg does, as a rookie. And then, let's start comparing that. And again, not to say that he's going to be Luka, because I don't think he's a different player. He just plays differently. But he is the type of player who has done nothing but win at his high school level in Maine, at his prep school level at Montverde, Florida, and certainly at Duke last year, a freshman carrying them to the Final Four as the lead dog. There's no reason to think that in relatively short order that he can't do the same thing here.
Can't wait to hear your calls.
I can't wait either.